For a magician to fool his audience, his deceit must go unseen, and to this end he crafts an illusion to avert attention from reality. While the audience is entranced, the deceptive act is committed, and for the fool, reality then becomes inexplicably built upon a lie. That is, until the fool wakes up and recognises the truth in the fact that he's been duped. Maintaining the suspension of disbelief in the illusion, however, is often more comforting than acknowledging the magician's secrets. You see, we live in a world of illusion. So many of the concerns that occupy the mind and the tasks that fill the calendar arise from planted impulses to become more someone or something that we're not. That's no accident. As we are indoctrinated into the authoritarian corporate consumer culture that is now dominating the human race, we are trained that certain aspects of our society are untouchable truths, and that particular ways of being and behaving are preferred. Psychopaths disempower people in that same way. They blind us with never-ceasing barrages of suggestions and absolutes that are aimed at shattering self-confidence and confidence in the future. Banksy, the elusive street artist, once said, "People are taking the piss out of you every day. They butt into your life, take a cheap shot at you and then disappear. They leer at you from tall buildings and make you feel small. They make flippant comments from buses that imply you're not sexy enough and that all the fun is happening somewhere else. They're on TV making your girlfriend feel inadequate. They have access to the most sophisticated technology the world has ever seen and they bully you with it. They are the advertisers and they are laughing at you." But advertising is just the tip of the iceberg. When we look further, we see the overall organisation of life is centred around the pursuit of illusions and automatic obedience to institutions and ideas which are not at all the way they seem. We are in a very real sense enslaved. Many call this somewhat intangible feeling of oppression the Matrix, a system of total control that invades the mind, programming individuals to pattern themselves in accordance with a mainstream conformist version of reality, no matter how wicked it gets. Let's talk about a few of those illusions. Well, for many of us, following the law is considered a moral obligation, and many of us gladly do so, even though corruption, scandal and wickedness repeatedly demonstrate that the law is plenty flexible for those who have the muscle to bend it. Police brutality and criminality is rampant across the world, and the courts favour the wealthy. We can no longer even lead our lives privately thanks to the intrusion of state surveillance. And all the while, the illegal and immoral Orwellian permanent war rages on in the background of life, murdering and destroying whole nations and cultures. The social order is not what it seems, because it's entirely predicated on conformity, obedience and acquiescence, which are enforced by fear of violence. History has taught us again and again that the law is just as often as not used as an instrument of oppression, social control and plunder, and any so-called authority in this regard is false, hypocritical and indeed unjust. And when the law itself doesn't follow the law, there is no law, there is no order, there is no justice. The pomp and trappings of authority are merely a concealment of the truth that the current world order is predicated on control and not consent. And then you have the illusion of prosperity and happiness. Adorning oneself in expensive clothes and trinkets and amassing collections of material possessions that would be the envy of any 19th century monarch has become a substitute for genuine prosperity. And for the parasites, maintaining the illusion of prosperity is critical to the economy because its foundation is built on consumption, fraud, credit and debt. The banking system itself has been engineered from the top down to create unlimited wealth for some while taxing the eternity out of the rest of us. True prosperity is a vibrant environment and an abundance of health, happiness, love and relationships. As more people come to perceive material goods as the form of self-identification in the culture, we slip farther and farther away from the experience of true prosperity. And then you have the illusion of choice and freedom. Read between the lines and have a look at the fine print. We are not free, not by any intelligent standard. Freedom is about having choice, yet in today's world, choice has come to mean a selection between available options, and always from within the confines of a corrupt legal and taxation system and within the boundaries of culturally accepted and enforced norms. So have a look at the phony institution of modern democracy. You'll see a shining example of false choices appearing real. Two entrenched, corrupt, archaic political parties are paraded as the pride and hope of a nation, and any third parties and independent voices are intentionally blocked, ridiculed and ploughed under. The illusion of choice and freedom is actually a powerful oppressor because it fools us into accepting chains and short leashes as though they were hallmarks of our liberty. Multiple choice is different than freedom. It is an easy servitude. And how about the illusion of truth? Truth has become a touchy subject in our culture, and we've been programmed to believe that the truth comes from demigods of media, celebrity, government, and if the television declares something to be true, then we are heretics to believe otherwise. In order to maintain order, the powers that shouldn't be depend on our acquiescence to their version of truth. While independent thinkers and journalists continually blow holes in the official version of reality, the illusion of truth is so very powerful that it takes a serious personal upheaval to shun the cognitive dissonance needed to function in a society that openly chases false realities. And then you have this illusion of time. It's said that time is money, but that's a lie. Time is your life. Looking beyond the five senses of the world, where we have been trained to move in accordance with the clock and the calendar, we find that the spirit is eternal and that each individual soul is part of this eternity. The big deception here is the reinforcement of the idea that the present moment is of little to no value, and the past is something we cannot undo or ever forget, and the future is intrinsically more important than both past and present. This carries our attention away from what is actually happening right now and directs it towards the future. Once completely focused on what is to come rather than what is, we are easy prey to advertisers and fear pimps who muddy our vision of the future with every possible worry and concern imaginable. We are happiest when life does not box us in, when spontaneity and randomness gives us the chance to find out more about ourselves. Forfeiting the present moment in order to fantasize about the future is a trap. The immense timeless moments of spiritual joy that are found in quiet meditation are proof that time is a construct of the mind of humankind and not necessarily mandatory for the human experience. If time is money, then life can be measured in dollars. When dollars are worth less, then so is life. This is total deception because life is, in truth, absolutely priceless. And then what about this illusion of separateness? On a strategic level, the tactic to divide and conquer is standard operating procedure for the authoritarians and the invading armies. But the illusion of separateness runs even deeper than this. We are programmed to believe that as individuals, we are in competition with everyone and everything around us, including our neighbours and even Mother Nature. Us versus them to the extreme. This flatly denies the truth that life on this plane is infinitely interconnected. Without clean air, clean water, healthy soil, and a vibrant sense of community, we cannot survive here. While the illusion of separateness comforts us by gratifying the ego and offering a sense of control, in reality, it only serves to enslave us and isolate us. And all these illusions mentioned here have been staged before us as a campaign to encourage blind acquiescence to the machinations of the Matrix. It is an attempt to disempower us. They demand our conformity and obedience, but we must not forget that all of this is merely an elaborate sales pitch. They can't sell what we don't want to buy.